So good morning and good evening. We'll begin our psychic education session in which we're going through the workbook Psychic Education. And before we begin, we can just go through this prayer again so that it becomes us. So Lord, we pray to Thee, may we understand better why we are here. May we do better what we have to do here. May we be what we ought to become here, so that thy will may be fulfilled harmoniously. The Mother. So invoking Mother and Sri Aurobindo's grace and presence as we begin the session. And today is December 5th, the Mahasamadhi Day. So we'll be taking up the readings for the first quarter of the session from the book, and then we'll go through some readings related to the Mahasamadhi Day. So that's the plan for today. So last week we had read about, the practices that we need to do, how we should make a routine, set at least 20 minutes, fix a time for the daily practice. And, the workbook, there were some things that they had guided us to, that how should we sit. And there were some questions that if we wanted to go through it. So if there's any sharing on that, anything, any question, any revelation, if we would like to share, we can share it before we move forward. So I'm assuming that's a no. So I'll just go through the questions, the self-observation worksheet ones. And yeah. So, would anybody like to read the worksheet self-observation questions?
Yeah, I'll read. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Worksheet self-observation. What is going on inside you? Is it easy to observe? If not, what makes it difficult? Do you get so involved that you stop observing? If so, only at certain moments or constantly? Does something get in the way and block your observation? If so, what causes the block? Are you able to prompt yourself to become an observer again? Now start with locating your consciousness in your head. Observe your thoughts. Are certain thoughts coming back more often than others? Are these positive or negative thoughts? Are they about you or about others? Are they about things or happenings? Are they about the past, the present, or the future? Do you start talking with your thoughts? Do feelings come up with certain thoughts? Now locate your consciousness in your heart. Observe your feelings. Are most of these feelings about yourself? Are most of these feelings about others? What kind of feelings are in the foreground? Irritation, happiness, jealousy, gratitude, etc. Do some of these feelings give rise to certain thoughts in you? Do you start a dialogue with some of your feelings? Do your thoughts have an influence on your feelings? Do certain feelings bring back certain memories? Now, locate the consciousness in your body. Become aware of how your body feels. Often, your body is roped in by the mind or the vital, which make your body do certain things like tensing muscles, making unconscious movements, etc. Can you spot any of this? Observe your muscles. Are they all relaxed? Are your shoulders relaxed? How relaxed are your arms and hands? Are the muscles of your neck, your jaws relaxed? What about the muscles in your abdomen? How relaxed are your legs? Do certain words or thoughts make you tense some muscles? Where? Do certain feelings make you tense some muscles? Where? Does your heartbeat change with certain words or feelings? Does your breathing change with certain words or feelings? So,
Yes, I
Taru
think
here,
we'll start. Yeah, yes.
yeah, can you just starting? Can you go? This is the starting.
No. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. See, sorry, can you scroll it bit down? Yeah, there was a question, something. Are you dialoguing with your thoughts? Something came, no? Like that. What is
Yes.
it actually? I have not understood what is that.
Yeah, do you start
Start
talking with
talking.
your thoughts? Yeah, this one.
Yeah. What is that? Actually, how will we talk with our thoughts? I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's like, you have a thought and then you start kind of, how we start interacting with the thought. So for me, I just thought like not like it's also possible that one can start actually talking physically, but just how you
Mm,
start engaging with our thoughts, right? Ki, okay, I didn't do this. Oh, last time also I didn't do this. Then that happened and this happened. When we get into the storylines, that's what I got
mm,
that it's like, you're sitting for observation. You have a thought
mm.
and then you get carried away with it and start kind of building on it is what I thought, like took it as.
Because in my case, just now I'm reading this question, but I always feel, if I'm get tensed, for something happened in the past, or which is not very pleasant, I always, start calling Rama, 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 Rama. I don't know, without my knowledge, it will start from my mouth, it will come. Wherever I am, I will start calling Rama, 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 Rama. Then after that, I will step back and I will watch myself. Why did I call Rama now? So immediately I'll go back to that unpleasant feeling, just to out of that feeling. I don't know how it came. Maybe from my childhood it is there, but I always used to observe this. That is why I asked you this question. Yeah. Thank you. Just I want to escape from that feeling, to say something.
No, I think it's not an escape.
Uh,
We can't, it's not like when you're calling Ram, it means like, or you taking mama, mama. You know that there is a tendency which is either constricting you, limiting you, like, what we were reading here, that
mm,
certain thoughts, certain people in our life, certain situations, they actually trigger our ego consciousness. They
mm,
touch our these old patterns that we have and we are not aware of them. So what
mhm,
happens is that when these soft spots are touched, then
mm,
something in the body happens, because this
mm,
house called body has been used by the ego consciousness for a very very long time,
mm.
right? So the ego has an impression on the body,
Okay.
and we will feel that. So all these questions were so that we can be conscious when that ego consciousness becomes activated. Because
Mm,
when I'm conscious that I'm acting out of a constriction in the heart, or something
mm,
in the tummy, or maybe jealousy, or because all these negative disturbing emotions and feelings, which are of course connected with thoughts, they always will leave an impression on the body, and they are not very expanding in their like the quality is not very expanding, it is constricting. Whenever we act out of jealousy or act out of, I want to be the one, like, something is there which is dark, and that energy is entangled with the body consciousness. So if we can notice constriction in the body, change in the breathing pattern, like we were also reading questions about the breathing pattern. So all these negative, disturbing emotions which are entangled with the ego consciousness. So something happens outside that triggers my ego consciousness, like that hits on the soft spot. Okay. Usually I'm not aware of it. But now when I come back home in the body, I see that, oh, this is constricting my heart and that doesn't feel nice, and your breathing pattern changes. And then if you continue to act out of that constriction, like you follow the dictate of that feeling, thought, or whatever that came, then you will be adding on to, you can say, more negative karma in simple terms, like it is coming out of the knot of the ego. For example, somebody said something, and now there is an urge in you to just retaliate. And you don't notice that constriction or what is burning in the chest or whatever that has happened, and you retaliate immediately without noticing. Then it is coming out of that wrong center, which is our ego consciousness. But right now, what am I trying to do? I am trying to step back from the ego consciousness so that I can be in touch with the psychic. So if I notice these constrictions and changes in the breathing pattern, better to step back and don't take any action at that time. Don't act out of that dictate. So step back. It is okay if you get insulted. Just step back. It is okay if you are not proven right. It is okay if you don't retaliate immediately to that person. So when you step back, then you can regain your calm center. But if you act out of that wrong center, then it's just like compound interest, like it keeps on adding on, and we just add on and propel that ego consciousness. We become that ego consciousness. We are not in the psychic space then. So that is why so you were talking about when we get engaged in the storylines. So whenever we get engaged in the storylines, crux of the matter, if we can see, is we want something or the other from this material existence. कुछ ना कुछ है जो हमें चाहिए, something or the other, a little thing, a little approval, some appreciation, some respect. कुछ ना कुछ होगा जो हमें material universe से चाहिए होगा. And it is only ego that lives in this lack. So whenever I'm acting out of that lack, it is I'm being identified with the ego consciousness. But what do I want to do now? I want to be in touch with my psychic. Psychic is very content with going through the experience. It is not living in lack. Psychic lives in abundance of the divine. A deep aspiration is enough for the psychic. A love for the divine is enough for the psychic. So when we act out of that space of abundance, and also like Aurobindo says, true equality can only be found in soul consciousness. This is equality. That things stop to move us. So what we were reading, all these questions will tell me, where do I get moved? Where all do I have soft spots? So this is why these questions are so helpful. Because अभी ये भी move करता है, अभी वो भी move करता है. So many things move me still. So not to act out of that place of agitation in us. To step back from the place of agitation and then take the action, speak the word wherever possible. Of course, many times we will slip, but then we will look back in retrospect and we will immediately realize that was not the right thing to say, or I could have done better. So whenever this aspiration for doing better arises in us, it means the psychic wants to come forward.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I have, I've bodily, why I can share this with, so much of conviction, because I have felt so many times this bodily constriction that comes when the ego consciousness is activated and you are acting out of that ego. It is so uneasy. And yet in our ignorance we do act out of it because we don't know what it is. So Shantideva, one of the Buddhist teachers, he has this very beautiful 4 lines that he says to the ego. I got reminded of them. I get reminded of them again and again. He says that whenever these patterns rise up, and you can now see them coming in the body, in the feelings, wherever. He says to that for 1,000 years or for lifetimes you have like rotated me in this chakra of life and birth and life and death. Now I see you and I can't be your haughty insolence, some word like that he uses. Like now I can see you and now I will not be ruled by you. So we step back.
So beautiful. If you are able to do that, face that face to face, it will be
Yeah.
really good. Not go
Yeah. In
into
as
that
much as
circle.
possible, I think it grows in degrees. And
Yeah.
10 may say 2 moments may maybe we are able to do, but other 5 we are not able to do. So then slowly it raises. We are more in love with that calmness and equanimity within, and we don't want to act out of ego. So it becomes like 10 out of say 4, 4 out of 10. So slowly, gradually, we get closer. Yeah.
Nice questions, to work on.
Yes, yes, yes.
Last week I missed a session. So now only I'm
Okay.
reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Thank
what it is, Shanti Deva, these lines. He says, 100 harms you have done me. Oh, what is it? Acha, Shilpa I'll just read it. 100 harms you have done me, wandering in cycles of existence. Now your malice I remember, and I will crush your selfish schemes. So this is being said from the witnessing aspect to the not witnessing really, the part in me which now wants to go ahead and not be pulled down by the ego consciousness. And in the other one he says, that time when you could beat me down is in the past. It is no more here. Now I see you. Where will you escape? I will crush your haughty insolence. So I find it very visual, that whenever these things come up, we can choose to step back. So Shilpa has shared something. The frustration gets worse when we have regretted, for example, saying something we should not have in a moment of reaction, but we continue letting it bother us instead of letting go or seeing why this situation almost had to happen for a bigger reason, a bigger picture for our progress. Absolutely. Yeah. It just gives us more and more conviction, all these falls, like Vishalji was sharing in the other session. Every fall the supreme diplomat makes a great means for our greater rise. So yeah, these falls are part of the progress and very much required.
One thing that you read, so thought came. By the way, that earlier comment, yeah, is very beautiful. Uh, I think Sharguji, right? Sharguji said that when she automatically gets Ram's name, that's beautiful. I mean, that is actually so wonderful because Ma says the same thing. People don't call, and you should call. So I just thought that was very nice. But this point you made, that so I have felt this sometimes that oh, you know, you see you work on some aspect and you feel that okay, you're getting better, and then kind of like I forget the lines you read that it said like I will not this thing, basically kind of almost like a challenge, right? And then I find I'm in a situation that is far more difficult than anything I've faced before, right? And I was like, oh, I thought like this was something I felt I had a good handle on. And no, I still don't. So it's like almost like you know, it's like something is saying, you raise the bar, I'll raise the bar even higher, you know. And that's not easy. So I've become a little wary. Don't get cocky with, don't get like overconfident that, because we have so much to work on. I think we talk about the subconscious and the inconscient, and it's like what God knows. Now I see here in the At least here we have all these garages, and I see people have all this junk in the garages and so much. I mean, we have, and I'm like, ऐसे ही तो हमारे में है सब इतना कचरा भरा पड़ा है, right? We just lock it away. We don't even know it exists. If we don't go there, we don't look at it, we don't care. And then suddenly it will come out. So that was my one thought, that I don't know if it is. So I kind of, since then, I said, you know what, just have a little confidence and trust. The mother will do whatever, and don't invoke that thing to in a way, because there are powers that are looking to get you to fall. But I don't know if that's the right way of looking at it.
Yeah, of course, infinite possibilities, because मन के बहुत तक रंग हैं, छिन छिन बदले सोए, एक रंग में जो रहे ऐसा विरला कोई. So we are not in one rang, we are actually having different states of mind, and in different states of mind different tools work, and that is why we have infinite number of tools, and all of them work for different phases of our life. So absolutely, and maybe right now the attitude I take to surmount or overcome a difficulty, other time it may not work. Absolutely, and that is why Sri Aurobindo shares in the God's labor, every enemy slain has to be slain again. It rises up again. Every battle fought must be refought. Vistas of fruitless life. So, as you said, long battle, and it is a battle at times, that the older doesn't want to leave. That's what we were reading in the Aryans, when he talks about who is an Arya. And he says that every moment it is a right choice, and making the right choice entails a battle, a struggle. अब आप उस बैटल और स्ट्रगल को किस तरीके से, कौन से टूल से उस समय ओवरकम कर रहे हो, दैट इज टोटली इंडिविजुअल. एंड वॉट एवर वर्क्स, वॉट एवर, किसी के लिए राम का नाम काम करेगा, किसी के लिए ब्रेथ काम करेगा. कोई बोलेगा मैं ब्रेथ से नहीं कनेक्ट करता, मैं माँ से नहीं कनेक्ट करता, मैं क्या करूं, उसके लिए कुछ और काम कर लेगा. सो थैंकफुली वी कैन बी सो ग्रेटफुल दैट जितने इंसान उतनी tools and hints available. Really, no dearth of possibilities. Whatever works. Yeah. Yes, so coming back to the questions, that these questions were designed in the sense so that we can be conscious of what is going on within us, and we have the possibility then to step back if we are conscious. Yeah, I think this also, this thing, कुछ था ना इसमें यहाँ पे कि, yeah, what kind of feelings happen again, something like that. Yeah, do some of these feelings give right? No. Yeah, so somewhere I got a sense of, like, we have repetition. We can, when we are conscious of these feelings and thoughts, then we can be conscious of a repetition going on in us. That repetition will be different for different people. In my life there can be repetition of something which other person cannot totally, one cannot resonate with. In your life there is a repetition going on with which I can't resonate with. That why would you repeat that? And you are wondering why would I repeat that if we talk about it. So it's very interesting, and I see that as we were talking about those subconscious patterns and rigidities that are there, and we were reading in integral healing that how when they rise to the surface, when we become conscious of it, that is the time to transmute it, क्योंकि वो फिर से छुप जाएंगी, and then we have lost our chance, and we will think that we have overcome it and the surmounting has already happened. But whenever they rise, when we become conscious of these things, and when we see that, oh, it's the same story again and again, again and again, मतलब चाहिए क्या, what does it want from me? So then we become aware. I personally have felt that I become aware of this, a common thread going on and on and on, repetition, and for nothing. and I indulge in it, I entertain it. Like we were talking, that we talk to these thoughts, we want something out of it. So when will we stop wanting something out of these engagements? That is the thing. Yeah. So yeah, sorry, that also came.
Thank you. Just sharing that, when we read about these things, it sounds very empowering, right? Like we're talking about, oh, haughty insolence, now I'll beat you and stuff. And yet there are moments when I can see I'm acting through the ego, or I can stop, or this is not needed. Like just be silent, just be silent. So that is the time that I must now let, whatever new I have wanted to experiment with or found amazing, or so then that's how the change kind of happens, because most of the time when the situation comes, like you said it very aptly when you said get insulted, right? Like just, and that's so hard, especially where you are stuck in all, there certain situations, there are certain exchanges where you keep slipping. So through these questions, when you come to know of your patterns, right? Like, okay, this is taking me there, that is taking me there. And this is the reason why they didn't say, okay, just do it once, right? Now they have said that make it a practice, sit for at least 20 minutes a day, don't lose even a single day. And that's a daily cleaning, daily digging that is happening, because it's not easy to get these questions, like the answers. And if you get them, we have to repeatedly see it. And once we repeatedly see it, again, what you were saying, then we get disgusted. कि अरे फिर वही, फिर वही, because it's actually like shocking that how can something again coming from there affect me? Like how, what do I want? Like, which wall should I bang my head onto that it's still there? And what you were sharing, what do these things want from me? Sometimes when one wonders, and the answer that I've got is like they just want me to be engaged, right? So that I'm not engaged somewhere which is more constructive. Like, so they're just, those sucking patterns where I get joy, like, a dog gets joy by kind of chewing on a bone and sucking on its own blood. So that's the kind of relationship I have, like somewhere feeling that victimhood. कि मेरे साथ तो हमेशा यही होता है, भाई क्यों होता है, तुम भी तो हो, उठ जाओ. But nahi, there's more joy in saying that for 25 years I have been hurt and this has been done to me. So where is my power? Where is my choice? So why have I been there if I feel that's what's happening to me? So that's the question one starts getting, right? Like once when we are sitting and seeing these patterns of me, it's really empowering. And if one wants to do something, that's why it's a workbook. And it's like a bit different than just reading, because now it's like, okay, we have read enough. So act, do something about it. Yeah. Even, these last four I had found quite effective, because they gave me a lot of, kind of connecting things. And we all have our different words and thoughts and feelings, that why is it changing? Why does that thought, that thing? So if you find something hidden there, hidden here. Yeah.
Yeah, this last one is also very important, I feel. Does your breathing change with certain words or feelings? And we see that in context want
I can't hear anything. I don't know if it's stuck at my end or your end.
Uh,
That's why. Yeah, Taru, is it okay now at your end?
Yeah, I just changed my connection. It was me, right?
Ah,
Was
yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't fathom. Okay, thank you. So,
yeah.
should I share the screen now? I missed a lot.
No, I did. We were totally silent while you were stuck.
Oh,
You
how
can
nice.
send some laddus to us.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was sharing that masters have said that mind is the rider and the horse is the breath. So if anything is happening in my feelings, thoughts, or a wrong pattern is happening, then we will see that the breathing becomes rhythmic. It is not a rhythmic breathing. It becomes loses its rhythm, and that is why if in that moment I can become conscious of breathing, and if I actually work on making it rhythmic, stay with the breathing and make it like as normal as I can, that actually let go the dark cloud kind of passes over my head, and all is well. While what we do is that when usually we are not conscious of when these patterns are rises, and even if the breathing is arrhythmic and things are not really fine inside, I act, and that act is always leading to negative results. So they suggest that if we change our breathing, the mind changes, and if the mind, something is happening in the mind, the breathing will change, and we will, all of us can become conscious that whenever we are angry, there is a jealousness, jealousy within us, or some ambition, some greed, some lust, anything of these negative sort, we will see that the breathing pattern has changed. If we can, usually we are not conscious, but if we can be conscious in that space, we will see that breathing has changed, and through the breath we can let go of that cloudy, hazy state of the mind. So it's very interesting because there was a question on, does your breathing change with some thoughts or feelings? And there are certain varieties of tools and methods based on breath also, and I feel they are also very wonderful. They really help, like a very handy tool if we have faith and we can follow it.
So, any Think from any of us before we continue? I think we'll move forward now. So if anybody is
One
willing
just
to,
minor point. Sorry, just one just minor point. The point about stepping back and walking away from a difficult situation. I mean, I think that, I mean, obviously that is a first step. What I also see that it does not leave you after that, because I think, you inside you have to fight that emotion that, maybe you didn't do what, you should have said something or whatever, right? And then one chose not to respond, when your inner voice is clearly unsettled. Uh, so that also can take time. I mean, I just acknowledge it that sometimes it will take time because the ego refuses to budge. It says, but I have been insulted, right? I mean, that is the typical answer it will give you. So it was just interesting, and I think it comes to everybody differently. And I think the other day, I mean, I actually was in a situation, something similar, and it was still kind of bothering, not in a really bad way, but it was persisting. And I think, Taru, you actually had posted that, if one can smile at all circumstances. It was such a simple thing, but it was such a powerful post. And the one line shifted the consciousness. It was so, now, of course, it can be different things at different points in time. But, one has to kind of see that it's not just like a switch off and you're fine. I mean, you have to be a real yogi for that, I suppose, but it takes time for it to go away, uh, really, where you feel okay again.
yes, thank you. So I'm assuming we can see the screen now, and if anybody is willing, we can resume from self-observation. So I can read in case nobody is available. Can you hear me fine now? Okay. So self-observation leads to self-awareness. This will help you to grow consciously in the direction of your highest aim. After some weeks, you will experience that your observation becomes more detailed. You will observe that very often more than one part is involved, and how specially the vital tries to take the mind along for its own purposes. So here it's referring to, how we were pointed out that we can see whether this thing is coming from the physical, the mental, the vital, like where is the I coming from? So I think it's just again tying with that. So let's take one more time the sentence. Taking long walks is good for health. You can say this also with a lot of enthusiasm. In that case, it is not just the mind, but the mind supported by the vital. You will say this with enthusiasm when you and a few friends are planning an outing and you are full of energy. There can also be a situation where you can say, taking long walks is good for health with a deep sigh. The sigh is caused by the vital that wants to see a video and is not at all supporting the idea of going for a healthy walk. Yeah. Tips: be careful not to put yourself in a knot, such as I will never come out of this, or poor me, nobody understands me. You can notice such thoughts or feelings, but do not believe them. When this happens, try to locate your consciousness in another part of yourself. Try to experience how you can choose to connect with the dark or with a light part in yourself.
Taru,
My
your
connection.
internet is really very unstable.
Yeah, then I guess it's better somebody else read. I don't know what's happening today.
Yeah, I have stopped your video so that at least audio can come fine.
No, would you like to read them?
Yeah, now it's okay. Now your voice is coming okay, but in between it was very cracky.
So should we retake this one? Like then I think you will have to
No, the
read.
earlier part was okay. Tips
Okay.
were not at all audible.
Okay. So I'll mute and anybody else can then please read.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I read?
Yes.
Tips. Be careful not to put yourself in a knot, such as I will never come out of this, or poor me, nobody understands me. You can notice such thoughts or feelings, but do not believe them. When this happens, try to locate your consciousness in another part of yourself. Try to experience how you can choose to connect with a dark or with a light part in yourself. Do not start plainly criticizing or judging yourself like, oh, again, I became angry. I'm really a most stupid person. If you find a fault with yourself, do not stop there, but look s- straight away for a solution. Just judging yourself is not helpful. It hardens the situation. Only observe that criticism is happening, but do not give importance to it. Remember that encouragement is much more effective in making you progress. It is best to observe yourself as you would observe a child playing in a park in an open and relaxed manner. Can I continue? Okay.
Yes, maybe you can, yeah, just read until you can take
Sure.
two more
Yes.
paragraphs and finish it. Yeah.
With self observation, you have started the science of living. It is an inner exploration. It is an adventure that will make you more aware of your outer nature. It will also lead you to the discovery of your inner worlds. It is the beginning of a long journey. But this journey has a very beautiful goal: discovering the living truth of your psychic being. There is a lot of work to do. You will observe your outer nature and help it to be purified so that it can be at the service of your psychic, even if this is still behind the veil. You will discover your inner and innermost being and allow it to actively participate in your daily life. Then, in a later stage, there is the work of unification. The first stage of unification is the centering of the mind, vital, and physical around your psychic being. The next chapter will tell you more about the search for the psychic being.
Yeah, so I think the first two paragraphs, we get a glimpse of how the vital operates, and most of the times, actually, we are identified with the vital. And Sri Aurobindo says that man has a double soul. There is a double soul in man. One is the desire soul, to which most of us are identified at most of times, if we are not actively doing sadhana. But when we start to do sadhana or any kind of inner practice or inner work, then we realize more and more that we are all the time as if identified, that this is me, this vital self which wants praise, does not want insult, which gets very enthusiastic, gets very moody. Most of the time, I am identified as that this is me, my mood, it is me. So he says that this is our journey as a human being. We have to step back continuously from the desire soul, or this the lower vital, that we were reading right now, that which gets disappointed or enthusiastic, and we have to live in our true soul. If I continue to give defenses to live in my desire soul, which is all the time demanding, and when the demands are not met, becoming disappointed, this is what we have to step back from. So in the first two paragraphs we get that. In the second one we get that glimpse that the vital, uh, is it really that sigh comes from the vital, a deep sigh that comes from the vital. And in the first one, which Taru has highlighted, how the reason gets puppeted for fulfilling the vital needs. This all of us do. No matter, we may be actually considering ourselves as an intellectual and mental being, even then we will see that whatever our impulses and instincts and desires and preferences are, our reason begins to support by default, our reasons begins to support why I should fulfill that desire, why I was right in being angry. So in the beginning, for most of us and virtually all of us, reason gets puppeted for the vital demands and desires and needs and expectations. This is what we have to catch. So we have to catch this wrong use of reason. We were reading in Savitri the other day, if someone would remember, that this puppeting of the reason was there, and it is like reason is plugged out for the vital need, goes into the drain, life sideways drain, and then he used the word the abandoned sentinel of the soul for reason, slain sentinel. So reason, when it is misused for wrong reason, that is where Sri Aurobindo used that it is like slain, you totally like rubbish use of reason, while it is the reason only which actually has to be used to regulate our instincts, demands and impulses and all these. So reason has to be high up, and it is like a regulator. For fans we have a regulator. So reason, or the mind's capacity to give good reasoning for anything, this has to be used for a good purpose which is beneficial for me, rather than what is my preference or my liking or my demand. So slowly, as I think we become more and more conscious, we get to know these cheating that we do, all of us, from time to time. And if we can catch that cheating, and then we have an opportunity to step back and regulate, and not let reason be overpowered by our vital and animal demands. बहुत टाइम तक तो हमें पता ही नहीं लगता है what is animal in me and what is vital in me. I think that's very interesting that with birds of mother and Aurobindo, at least, for me, it's like we wake up that, oh, this is that and this is that, and now I can step back from this, and this sorting and organizing begins to happen in the being.
I think this reason and sorry, this animal and the psychic in us, the good and the bad in us, it relates me with something that we were reading last Tuesday, where we were talking about self-observation, that how important it is to self-observe and make it a practice of every day, where you really devote some time consciously to see yourself, see how you think, see how you feel. I was listening also to the integral healing one, the discussion that happened on Sunday about this idea of unconscious, that how things are there in unconscious. And although you feel okay, that's not there. Sometimes from unconscious that comes up. So that's self-observation. So for me, what has really helped me is, that uneasiness that's in the being. So whenever I'm feeling uneasy, I really get, I get really aware of that uneasiness, and I would actually review them. What did I do in the whole day? Where is this uneasiness coming from? There's some tingling in my stomach. Something for everybody, the body reacts differently. Or the pain. I think one of the things is I get a lot of backache at the back of my neck, and I've started to realize that it happens when I store a lot of stress. Or there's something that I'm thinking a lot. So I think these clues, this, what is the animal? So the animal is very active, there's a lot of uneasiness. And I'm so surprised that for such a long time of my life, and that this uneasiness was my normal. Like I was animal, living in those animal instincts. And for me, that was normal. Like I never thought that life would be otherwise. But the beauty is that at least when you make a little bit of effort, you see the glimpses of how relaxed your body could be, how how easy, how happy you could be without any reason. You don't need a reason to be happy, but you'll be sorry, I'm traveling, maybe that's sorry about that. But yeah, I just wanted to say that a consciousness or an awareness or the self-observation that was discussed last week towards the body can really help us tell us that when we are really having the goodwill in the heart or when the animal impulses are taken away. Because sometimes I'll speak to my friend. Just recently, I was talking to a friend, an old friend, and I was, I like talking. So I got carried away into talking, talking, talking. But when the call finished, I felt really uneasy, although it was all okay. But then I thought, what happened? Why am I feeling so uneasy? Like something was there which is not okay. And then, of course, when I revisit, I could actually think there were so many useless things that I spoke, which shouldn't have spoken. And I was talking about somebody very unconsciously that time I didn't realize. But that uneasiness actually made me realize that kind of, And I just then I started feeling guilty. Oh God, how could I have talked like this? So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that it's very good if we have started to become uneasy at some things, because then that would be our signal. Yes, mother shares about that uneasiness. Yes. Yeah, anything more? Anyone? तरु जी, आप हैं या गायब हैं? हैं। So this also, there is a fine line between discernment and judgment. I think there also we have to become aware that this light of consciousness in us, which can discern what is dal and what is kala, that is discerning ability that has to be used, that doesn't need to be abandoned. But what we have to abandon is these judgments which actually don't help us or the other person. But we don't have to let go of our discerning ability. And all of us, I'm sure, we don't need to talk about this, because if we are becoming conscious of our inner self and inner happenings, then all of us know what is discernment and what is judgment. In judgment there is a bad taste, but in discernment there is not a bad taste. So we have to get sensitive to that taste that we get when we are discernful and when we are judging.
And I think this is the part that refers to, again, how we were discussing that when we see where I fall or how my patterns are acting.
Yeah. Taru, can you stop your video? Can you stop your video?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can. Yeah.
Yeah, now please speak.
I was
Yeah, now it's
saying,
okay. Now it's okay.
okay, so
Yeah.
I was just saying
Now
that the
it's okay.
part that I was mentioning before, that when I know how I'm being ruled or how I have this pattern of, say, feeling sorry for myself in that particular situation repeatedly. So then I have this choice to then stop. Okay, I'm not happy with this. How do I move out of this? So I don't think I'm that audible again. So I'll just stop so we can maybe move forward.
No, you're audible.
Okay. Yeah, so just that.
Yeah, so this thing also, directly looking for a solution rather than finding faults. I think this is also something which all of us need to work upon, because I may not find fault in one or another relationship, but in two, three particular ones, I do actually always focus on fault finding and judging and all that. And that takes away a lot of energy. So there was a story in with our children. There was a story book. It was called Fikru Deen Ka Fridge, and it is actually, there is a person whose name is Fakru, but उसको सब प्यार से फिक्रू फिक्रू बोलते थे, क्योंकि वो बहुत ज़्यादा फिक्र करता है, वो हर चीज़ की टेंशन लेता है। तो वो जैसे मान लो लाइट चली गई, तो वो बोलता है कि हाय अब लाइट चली गई, अब मैं पढ़ाई कैसे करूँगा, पढ़ाई नहीं करूँगा तो मैं फेल हो जाऊँगा, मैं फेल हो जाऊँगा तो मेरे को स्कूल में कोई दाखिला नहीं देगा। सो वो he takes the tension or the worry to the extremes, and that is why people call him Fikru. And then once they don't have a fridge, their fridge is not working, and again he's taking a lot of tension that, oh मुझे गर्मी लगेगी तो मैं पानी कैसे पीऊंगा, ठंडा पानी नहीं होगा तो मैं क्या करूंगा, like that he's saying. And then his mother says that don't keep yourself engaged in all these worries and tensions, instead work for a solution. So she gives 10-20 rupees to him, and then of course he goes along with the story and then finds a matka in those 20 rupees, and then has a matka at home in which he can get the thanda pani. So I can relate with that story a lot, because most of the times we drain lots of energies in becoming anxious or worrisome about any particular situation, where we can actually focus on, okay, अब जो भी है वो है, अब आगे क्या करना है, how to resolve the issue, how to come to a harmonious solution. And when we approach like that, then it becomes relatively handleable. We can handle the task much easier. Yeah. So just got reminded of that story, which actually we all repeat in our life. We begin to focus on the faults and blaming others and criticizing, rather than moving towards a solution. Yeah, so I think maybe we can pause here for today. Yeah. And since the connections are not really working very well.
You wanted to take up some readings. We didn't realize the time. You want to do it for this?
That's okay. That's okay. We can do it some other time. Yeah.
No, you
because
Mine is not okay, but it's going on well. Maybe we can take another 15 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can do. If people have time, we can do. So today is December 5, Sri Aurobindo's Mahasamadhi Day, and there are many wonderful readings on this day, which we can maybe briefly go through. Just a second. Yeah. So if some of us have the capacity to read, then we can go through these passages one by one and have some insight and something to take home also.
Shall I
Would
read?
anyone? Yeah, yes, Nandini. Go ahead.
A brief description of 5th till 9th December 1950 and some more photographs of Sri Aurobindo's Mahasabadi. From 5th to 9th December 1950, Sri Aurobindo's physical shield was kept in state for public darshan. Nirodharan and Udar Pinto gives a brief description of the 4 days that followed Sri Aurobindo's departure. The sadhaks came one by one and saw the marvel in the mystery, the body of the golden Purusha in eternal sleep. And with tears of joy and grief, they offered their praise to the one who had sacrificed all for them. I also saw, to my utter wonder and delight, that the entire body was suffused with the golden crimson hue, so fresh, so magnificent. It seemed to have lifted my pall of gloom, and I felt light and happy without knowing why. When the mother came, I asked naively, "Mother, won't he come back?" "No," she said. "If he wanted to come back, he would have not left the body." Pointing to the light, she said, "If this supramental light remains, we shall keep the body in a glass case." For 4 days, the disciples, the people of the town, ashram employees had the unique darshan and paid their homage. Bhaktas had come from different parts of India for the benediction of the last darshan of the Guru. Many of them felt the room subcharged with peace, force, light, or bliss. Some saw Sri Aurobindo sitting on the bed and saying, I am here, as if to falsify nature's decree. The mother paid her visits to the room twice or thrice a day, clad in a white robe and with the scarf tied over her head. Her face calm and grave, yet softened with the material sweetness, she looked like Maheshwari of transcendent glory. She would stand silently before the body, look at it for some time, and quietly retire. Sometimes she was accompanied by Nalini, Pavitra, Amrita, and others. She did not want the body to be touched and wished that an utter silence should prevail in the room at all times. To continue,
Yes, please.
the mother then said Sri Aurobindo had lived so long in the supermental consciousness that it had come down into his body and made it shine with the golden light. But she added that one could not be sure how long the light would remain, and in case it remained for a long time, it was necessary to protect the body against dust and airborne insects. So she asked me to prepare a large glass covering to go over the whole body in a way which would not disturb it. Immediately, a man was sent to Madras to get the necessary large sheets of glass, and through human we arranged for the silver angle strips to join them to form a cover. In the meantime, we thought it would be good if we could keep the room temperature low by arranging large blocks of ice around with fans to blow over him. We did this without consulting the mother. As soon as she saw it, she asked us to remove everything at once. She did not want any artificial measure to be taken at all. If the body was to remain without perishing, it will be by His will alone. Mother gave me instructions for the casket, which was made of solid wood and lined with silk. Sri Aurobindo was still lying on his bed, and there was most marvelous golden light emanating from his body and a scent like a celestial perfume. The mother told me how deep to go into Samadhi and how to design it. We built the Samadhi not as a hole in the ground, but as a vault and thick concrete walls, 9 inches thick, with cement floors and a cement roof. We went down 8 feet and built a 4 foot room with cement slabs. Over that, the mother instructed me to build another room, also with walls, a floor, and a roof. She told me to fill it with clean river sand and to put a last slab on the top. This was Samadhi built. Mother wanted Sri Aurobindo's Samadhi to be under the service tree in the ashram courtyard. She gave detailed instructions saying how deep we could go and that we should construct a waterproof chamber down below with a waterproof cement slab cover and then an air space with another waterproof cement slab cover. Then earth was to be filled with this till it came above the surface of the ground, and around it the walls of Samadhi were to be built. The mother also told us to prepare a fine case for his body. I got the Harpagan workshop to start making one in solid thick rosewood with brass straps and brass rings on the side to take the ropes. We started working from the morning of the 15th. We decided to build Samadhi ourselves without paid labor. The ground was hard, very hard, and breaking it was quite a job. It was decided that the burial would take place on the evening of the 15th. Discoloration of the body generally sets in within 24 hours. 35 hours is the outside limit. But when it was about for burial, time for the burial, there was no sign of decomposition at all. In fact, even though life had left the body, it was suffused with golden light and showed Bindu's face shone with it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So we can read just last one, maybe prayer, and then we can end. Just a second. Yeah. So this is something from the mother. I think somebody must have asked also, and in a response to that, mother has replied here, which is also a darshan message for 5th December 2022. So I thought this was really beautiful. And at other instance, mother has also said that to grieve for Sri Aurobindo, that oh, he has left us, something like that, that we do for human beings, is like an insult to him. So to remind ourselves that he is here, just because the physical body is not there, it doesn't mean that he is not there. So that is where mother shares with us very consolatory words and very confirmatory, and not only that, with a certitude that he is here, and as long as the requirement from mankind is there, he will be there. So mother says, Sri Aurobindo is constantly among us and reveals himself to those who are ready to see and hear him. So to have that certitude, because usually when the physical form is not there, we think that, oh, I am abandoned. Even for our gurus also we begin to think that, but that is not so. So Sri Aurobindo is constantly among us and reveals himself to those who are ready to see and hear him. Yeah, anything more anyone wants to share or add on?
I just wanted to say that it's really magical that
especially if you're reading something of by Aurobindo, Savitri, anything, any life divine, you find it very difficult. I've often sit down and really imagined him, and asked him that, can you please explain it to me? Because I'm not understanding. And some of the times I don't understand, but some of the times, just when I ask him, I just understand it. I don't know how it happens, but I would really understand what is important, of course, what is important for me to understand. For me, that understanding is for me, especially what I need to understand from that. So I think for his works, and I also appreciate him the way he has this holistic personality. A man who could know so many languages, a man could write so well. Sometimes I like reading. So the way he uses languages, his use of words, and sometimes I wish I could learn this from you. May you teach me this? How you write so beautifully. And it's so beautiful that even just by invoking and asking, he actually gives it to you. He starts offering that. So it's like a nectar, it comes to you. So just that. So definitely what is written, that if we are ready to hear and see him, and even if we ask him softly, whatever we want, and something greater, of course, if we can ask, he's always pouring, ready to there to pour it to us.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yes, Vishalji.
Yeah, no, that is very beautiful. What was just said. Very beautiful. Yeah, I mean, Aurobindo is just, I mean, in that sense, he truly is, there is no parallel, you know. If you just look, and just what he did not do, I mean, freedom fighter, as you said, mastered all the languages, brilliant in every way. I mean, one could just go on, and it is. I think that mother says that when you read, and we've all experienced that, reading Life Divine or Synthesis, or mother says it reprograms your brain cells. It's actually very interesting. Uh, it starts making the brain, the physical brain, more supple. So it's, I think that, but to go, yeah, just not like with this intellectual thing, but to go with a simple, you know aspiration is so much better. Very nice.
Yeah. Anybody else? So, yeah, Vishalji had shared something of around 4 minutes. Maybe we can end with this, meditate with this, and after that, end the session. Just a second. Thank you, everyone.
Beautiful. Thank you, Monica. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.